All righty. The date, January 1st, 1926. Happy New Year, everybody. The teams, the New York Giants and the Gables Collegians. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't lie to you. The time, well, it wasn't Monday Night Football. Let me tell you that. It had to be somewhere in the afternoon. I know usually the Giants in New York played whenever they're playing at the Polo Grounds. Usually played, around 2:30 in the afternoon. So, but this was in Florida. This was in the place, the field, okay, was the Municipal Athletic Field. Okay, in Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, this would be the first of two games that the Giants would play. This was an exhibition game. Giants season was over. The final game they played was it was in mid-December. They beat the Chicago Bears at Wrigley Field 9-0. And so the Giants season was over. They were 8-4. But after this, they would go on like a barnstorming tour, and just start playing some exhibition games to try to make some money. I guess I'm just guessing here to try to get some interest growing for the NFL, but also to maybe to make some additional money. Now, as I said, this would be the second of two games in January that the Giants would play the Gables Collegians. But they were played at different fields. All right. This one was played in West Palm Beach. The second one was played in Coral Gables. Imagine that. But the Chicago Bears with Red Grange, because remember, back in 1925, Red Grange was just about this far below. There was Jesus Christ, and then there was Red Grange. He was it. He drew huge crowds. So he ended his career at Illinois in November. He played his last game at Illinois. And once he did that, he left Illinois and he became a pro. He made a lot of money, a lot of money being in the pros. With the Bears, because of his popularity, they could just go to different places, and they weren't necessarily always selling places out, but they could maybe even jack the prices up. If people wanted to see Red Grange, some people would pay some money, and so not only did the Bears make some money, going on tour, but Red Grange made quite a bit of money. Not only that, but Red Grange's manager, C.C. Pyle, Cash and Carry Pyle. He was a ruthless guy. Not only so much that, but after this season was over with 1925, C.C. Pyle created his own football league because they made a lot of money. Grange and Pyle made a lot of money. And after in 1926, he wound up creating his own league. Actually, it was the AFL. It was the APFL, I believe. I think it was the American Professional Football League. But if you take the professional out of there, it was the AFL, right? It only lasted, I think, the one season. It did not do very good. The popularity was not very good. But the Bears, they were the first team to go after the season was over with. They started heading south, and as I said, because with Red Grange, they could go to different places. And, as I said, not maybe sell the place out, but they get a lot of popularity, get some fans there, and they make some money. Now, Red Grange, not only the Bears, but the teams that they played would maybe make some money. Now, I do know the Bears played, just from looking at some articles in the newspaper, and it just goes to show you. I'm looking at articles in New York City, and there's articles almost every day on Red Grange. This is New York. With Red Grange was either at Illinois University or playing for the Chicago Bears. There was an article almost every day in the sports section of what a Chicago Bear was doing. Not what the Giants were doing, not what Babe Ruth was doing, none of that. What was the Chicago Bear doing? It was the Red Grange look. I mean, every day. Everybody who's in Illinois, there was always something going on with it every day. It was almost every day. There's a lot of articles on Red Grange. But I said, they went down south. They went to Florida. I also know that they played in New Orleans, right? New Orleans. And then they went out to Los Angeles as well, too. So they I'm not sure if they played anywhere else. I'm still looking at some of the articles and all and everything, but I do know they played in Florida, Los Angeles, and New Orleans. So they played some games. But the Giants would obviously they would file suit, follow them. Interestingly enough, the Coral Gables Collegians, right? It was not necessarily a team. It wasn't, because like a lot of the teams, like the Duluth Kellys, the Rochester Jeffersons, so many Staten Island Stapletons. There's a lot of small, teams, basically small towns or cities, right? Basically, but a lot of them had the guys played from their own, from the city. It wasn't like not like today. When you're drafting guys from Alabama and Oregon and here all over the place, it's not like that. It was a lot of the guys played, or they lived in the city. Right? But the Coral Gables Collegians was just I'm going to go over these guys. It was basically a collection of players. And basically they were just, a lot of them were from the NFL. After the season was over with, and a lot of these guys were good. And that's probably why they wound up playing on this one particular team, because a lot of these players were really good. And interestingly enough, funny enough, 4 of these players on the Coral Gables Collegians were actually Giants. So the New York Giants went down south and they played against a team, and 4 of the starting 11 were actually New York Giants, and they were very, very good Giants. 3 of them were all pros during the 1925 season. So, they had some good players. Now the Giants would lose this game, interestingly enough, but as I said, it wasn't like a collection. The Coral Gables Collegian, in this game anyway, there was a different lineup. When they played them again, they played them the first January 1st. Then they played them again January 16th. So it was about 2 weeks later they played them. So when they played them on the 16th, there was a different bunch of guys. Man, I have to relook again, but I don't think they were all different, but there were some different guys on there. But interestingly, I said that the guys that they played, the Giants played here, were just basically almost like all-stars from the NFL. So the Giants lost basically at least 3 of these players that were on the Coral Gables Collegians for this particular game that came from the Giants. I said were all pros. So the Giants lost like their best players, right? So they were going, as I say nowadays, right? Say the Giants would lose Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas, and Dexter Lawrence. Those 3 guys were now playing on the Coral Gables Collegians, plus amongst other. It's like, I don't want to say it was who's of the NFL, but there was a lot of good players. So this Coral Gables Collegian, especially at least this game anyway, they were a very good collection of ball players. And, so the Giants came down and, so they didn't have all their stars. All right. And they would wind up losing. I got some articles to go over. We'll see, talk about how they wind up losing and all that and everything. So, because they did lose, but they lost to a good collection of players, shall we say? All right. So this game, was played. Let's see. This stadium. Okay, I'm going to go over this first here. This stadium here that the Giants, the Coral Gables Collegians played at, was built in 1924. And initially, it was named the Municipal Athletic Field. which it is right now, 1920. Well, actually, January 1st, 1926. It was the municipal field, or the municipal athletic field. It hosted its first event, a football game, in October 1924. The first baseball game was played in December 1924. Now, don't forget, baseball we're talking Florida, so pretty much play baseball all year long down there, right? But it was renamed right field in 1927. So, in 1924, 25, and 26, it was named the Municipal Athletic Field. 1927, it was renamed right field. Okay, WRIGHT, not right field like in baseball, left field, center field, right field. No, but WRIGHT, right field in 1927 for the West Palm Beach city manager, George C. Wright. Then it was renamed Connie Mack Field in 1952 in honor of the longtime Philadelphia Athletics owner and manager, Connie Mack. The grandstands originally held about 2,000. Let's see. And this is just sad. It just goes to show you how absolutely, unbelievably pathetic things were back then. All right, so please forgive me as I read this. This is out of Wikipedia, right? So just please forgive me. But once again, this is as ridiculous as things were back then. Okay. The grandstands originally held about 2,000. Black fans were restricted to a small section in right field corner to keep them away from the white fans, which is absolutely freaking unbelievably pathetic. The total capacity was about 3,500 fans. Record attendance for baseball was on March 20th, 1949, when 6,988 fans saw the A's defeat the Brooklyn Dodgers in a spring training game by a decision of 6-0, which featured Jackie Robinson on the field, and then Secretary of State General of Army George C. Marshall in attendance. The stadium was replaced in 1962 by West Palm Beach Municipal Stadium, although the grandstand remained until 1973. The ball field continued to be regularly used by neighboring Twin Lakes High School. The field was bulldozed in 1992 it seems like so many times, for a parking garage for the new Raymond F. Kravis Center for the Performing Arts, where there is a tribute display in the garage by the main elevator. So, but there was many teams wound up playing here. The looks like the Philadelphia and the Kansas City Athletics played. I guess maybe their spring training games they played there. The Rochester Red Wings played there. The St. Louis Browns played their spring training games down there from 1928 to 1936. There's a bunch of other teams. The West Palm Beach Indians, the West Palm Beach Sun Chiefs, the West Palm Beach Braves. I mean, so a lot of teams played there. But initially, this was the, this is where this game was played at. So it was on January 1st, 1926. New Year's Day. So it was at the Municipal Athletic Field in West Palm Beach. As I said, when they played the Coral Gables Collegians again on January 16th, 1926, that was played at a different stadium. But all right, so this one here, and so that was the name of the stadium. Their coach his name was of the Coral Gables Collegians was Tim Callahan. Who's a very, very good football player in college. Then the Giants coach was still Bob Folwell, and this would be his final few games coming up here for the Giants, because he coached 1925 for the Giants, and he would wind up going to the rival league, which the APFL, American Professional Football League, which lasted, I think it was just one season. He jumped to that league. So he coached the Giants in 1925, Bob Folwell. Very, very successful coach. But he went to the other league. I think it was because he got more money. And actually, he led the Philadelphia Quakers, I think, to the title in that 1926. Once again, he was a very good coach, but he left the Giants. I think it was because of more money. They were paying their guys, their players, the commissioner, and I think maybe their coaches more money. So he jumped to the other league and I think he got paid more than what the Giants were paying him. So the Giants coach Bob Folwell, this would be his final few games here with the coaching the New York Giants. But the Coral Gables Collegians, I don't know where they got Tim Callahan from. I'm not sure, but he was a very successful player. He was born in 1895, died in 1976. So he lived a nice long life. He was an American football player and coach. He attended preparatory school at the Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, and then enrolled at Yale University. He played college football at the guard position for the Yale Bulldogs in 1916 and 1919. And 1919 and 1920. He was a consensus first-team selection on the 1920 college football All-American team. His education at Yale was interrupted during World War I by service as a pilot in the Naval Aviation Corps. He was stationed in Newport, Rhode Island, and later in South America before being discharged in 1919. Callahan was captain of the 1920 Yale Bulldogs football team, while his brother Henry, Mike Callahan, was captain of the 1920 Princeton Tigers football team. So those colleges back then were big, were very, very big. Let's see. He also played this guy, Tim Callahan, the coach of the Coral Gables Collegians. He played, looks like, played some minor, his head coaching. The Colorado Mines of the Rocky Mountain Conference. No idea. Never heard of it. But so he was the coach of the Coral Gables Collegian, but he was a very, very successful college football player. All right. Now I'm going to go over some of the players here on the Coral Gables Collegians. And let's see what we got here. All right. They're, and interestingly enough here, let's see here. There's one of the guys here on the, I couldn't even, I'll come across him. I'm not, one of the Giant players, I don't even know who he is. To be honest with you, I was looking and looking. I couldn't find who this player was, but all the Coral Gables Collegian players, I was able to, I think, pretty much find out who they were and basically what team they came from. So the first player is Berry. He's the left end from the Coral Gables Collegians, and let's see here. I got so many tabs open here. I gotta find where he came from here. But let's see. Maybe it's this one here. Okay. Oh, Charlie Berry. Okay. Actually, this guy was a very good athlete. He played baseball. He has his own baseball card, too. 1933 Gowdy Trading baseball card. He played baseball. He played football and baseball. He's a very, very good athlete. Let's see here. He played. For 1925 and 1926, he played for the Pottsville Maroons of the NFL. Okay, so he was their end. But he also played for the Philadelphia Athletics in 1925, the Boston Red Sox in 1928 to 1932, the Chicago White Sox in 32 and 33, and then the Philadelphia Athletics from 34, 35, 36, and 1938. But in football, he was an end. He played 2 seasons for the Pottsville Maroons, who were part of the NFL. All right, so that's their one end. All right, I got to find. Let's see here. All right, the next one was Bayman, their left tackle. Bull Bayman. There you go. Their left tackle. He played for the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, 1924, 1925. Then he jumped, Bull Bayman, he jumped to the AAPFL the new league in 1926. He went with the Philadelphia Quakers, who was coached by the Giants coach of 1925, Bob Folwell, and they wound up winning the championship. Then after that, 1926 and 1927 and 1931, he went back to the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. So, but he was a very good player. Bull Bayman. He was an American professional football player and coach in the early National Football League. He played college football at Lebanon Valley College in 1920 and 21 and Dickinson College in 1922 and 1923, captaining the team in the latter year. In 1924, Bayman joined the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, a long-established team that was new to the NFL. He emerged as a place kicker in 1925, hitting on 5 field goals and 12 point after touchdowns. In 1926, he jumped to the new American Football League, Philadelphia Quakers. But when that league folded after just one season, he returned back to Frankfurt. He was twice named first-team All-Pro. In 1929, he assumed the role of player coach, still playing the line on both offense and defense and dropping back to punt. The following year, as the team began to run into financial problems, Bayman resigned. His career NFL coaching record was 13-20-7. So once again, he came from the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. All right. So, I mean, these were all of these guys that they had were all established players, from the NFL. The next one was Depler. All right. We haven't gotten to the Giant players yet. This was Jack Depler. Jack, I've also seen John Depler too. John Charles Depler. He was a professional football player and coach prior to his professional career. He played college football for the Illinois Fighting Illini football team and the University, the Fighting Illini football team of the University of Illinois. Then he helped lead Illinois to its second national championship in 1919 and earned the first team All-American honors in 1920. After graduation, Depler played for the Hammond Pros of the NFL. The following year, he was hired as the assistant coach to Frank Buck O'Neill at Columbia University, where he stayed for the next 8 seasons. But he was a tackle and a center. Let me see here. Here we go. He was okay. Well, here they have him as a guard, so he played on the offensive line. Let's see here. But so he played. He was a player. He was a coach. So he was a very, very good team. He was an All-American in college. He was a second-team All-American in college. So he was this guy Jack Depler. He's a very, very good player for him. All right, then the center was Doc Alexander, who was the center. He was an All-Pro, right? Because they didn't have Pro Bowls back then. He was like the All-NFL player. For the Giants, he would be Alexander. Okay, so he played center for the Coral Gables Collegians in this game. He was the center for them, but he was also the center for the Giants during their season, the 1925 season. He would also return to the Giants in 1926. He was there. He would be their coach. He would be their player coach. So he played it and he coached as well. Let's see here. So he was one of the 4 players. Let's say, he was one of the 4 players that there was a Giant who actually played for the Coral Gables Collegians, and he was a very, very good center. All right, then the next one is Osborne, the right guard, Osborne. I got to find him here. Where are we at here? Okay, Duke Osborne. Here you go. 1921 and 1923, he was on the Canton Bulldogs. And 1922 and 1923, the Canton Bulldogs were the overall champions. So he won 2 championships. And then, actually, my bad, please forgive me. And then he won 3 straight championships because this guy, Duke Osborne. He played 1921 to 1923 for the Canton Bulldogs. Well, the Canton Bulldogs in 1922 and 1923 were the overall champions. Then in 1924, he went to the Cleveland Bulldogs. 1924, the Cleveland Bulldogs won the championship. So this guy, Duke Osborne, won 3 straight championships in the NFL. Then in 1925 through 28, he played for the Pottsville Maroons. So he was a traveled player, but he was a 3-time NFL champion. Pottsville Maroons, let's see, he was the first team All-Pro in 1922, second Carlton Daily News first team All-NFL 22 and 23, and the GB Press Gazette second team All-NFL 1925. So he had a bunch of awards, but he was an American professional football player. After high school, Osborne attended Penn State University. Osborne made his professional debut in the National Football League in 1921 with the Canton Bulldogs. He would go on to help the Bulldogs win back-to-back NFL championships in 22 and 23. During the course of his career, Osborne also played for the Cleveland Bulldogs and the Pottsville Maroons. He spent a total of 8 years in the NFL. Osborne also became part owner of the Maroons in 1928 when team's owner Dr. John C. Striegel loaned the team to 3 players, Wilbur, Pete Henry, Herb Stein, and Osborne. However, after the season, Striegel, who probably still had majority ownership, sold the team to a New England-based partnership that included Maroons standout George Canale. After his career in football, Osborne became a general superintendent for Oldsmobile Assembly Division. So, but this guy Duke, he was a very successful football player. So once again, just another very good team. He was their right guard. All right, then we got Parnell. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Parnell. Got to find him here. Here we go. Parnell. He was another player for the New York Giants. He was not the 3 of the 4 guys that played who were Giants on the Coral Gables Collegians were all pros. Okay. Parnell was not one of them. Parnell played, he was tackle. He played in 11 out of the 12 games for the Giants in 1925. And in 1926, he was back on the team again. He played tackle and guard, and he played in 4 games for him. So he was on the Giants 1925 and 1926, but he was on the Coral Gables Collegian side in this game. But he was their, let's see here. What did I say? Parnell, he was their right tackle. All right. Then Wentworth, all right. He was their right halfback. Now, Wentworth here. Where are we at here? That's the Duke. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Cy Wentworth, American football. Let's see. He was with the Providence Steamroller in 1925 and 1926, and then the Boston Bulldogs in 1929. He was the one-time Press Gazette second team All NFL in 1925. So 1925, I mean, he was decent. Okay. But the Providence Steamroller, let's see here. They were 6-5-1. So they were okay, but he was a good player. He was a professional American football player who spent 3 seasons in the National Football League, having played for the Providence Steamroller in 25 and 26 and with the Boston Bulldogs in 1929. Prior to joining the NFL, Wentworth played college football at the University of New Hampshire. With the New Hampshire Wildcats, Wentworth scored 166 career points via field goals, extra points, and touchdowns. He had a career-high 11 touchdowns and 85 points in 1924 and led the team in scoring from 1922 to 1924. He was New Hampshire's team captain for the 1923 and 24 seasons. Wentworth holds the New Hampshire record for the most points scored in a single game, 37. Wow. Achieved on November 3rd, 1923 against Lowell Tech, now the University of Massachusetts Lowell. He made via 6 touchdowns and 1 extra point. Wentworth was an inaugural member of the University of New Hampshire Wildcats Hall of Fame in 1982. He died in January 1986 at the age of 82. So once again, so Cy Wentworth, all right, he came from the Pottsville, the Providence Steamroller. And he was their right halfback. Okay. Then the next guy, I got to get this up here. Well, the next guy was, that's the wrong one there. I got so many tabs open here. I got to find these guys here. The next guy was Bomar. Let me get this up here. Okay, the right end was Bomar. He was a Giant. He was one of the All-Pro Giants. Lynn Bomar. He played in all 12 games for the Giants. He started all 12 games and for the Giants in 1925. And in 1926, I believe he came back too, right? Yeah, he played in 8 games for the Giants at right end in 1926. But he was an All-Pro. So he was in the NFL. So he was a very, very good end for the New York Giants. So, so between Alexander, who was an All-Pro, Bomar, who was an All-Pro from the Giants, as I said, once again, they had on his Carl Gables Collegians team, they had some very, very good players, right? All right, so then the next one was Ernst, the quarterback. All right, so let's find this guy here, Ernst. Jack Ernst, the quarterback. All right, Jack Oliver Ernst was an American football running back. He played 6 seasons for the Pottsville Maroons, the New York Yankees, and the Boston Bulldogs, and the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. In 1925, Jack helped the Maroons. Well, it's a long story. They won the championship, but it got stripped from them due to the dispute over rules violations. I mean, that's like a different story for a different day. The Chicago Cardinals wound up winning the title in 1925, but another story for another day. But he was a very, very good player. He played for the Pottsville Maroons from 1925 to 28, New York Yankees in 1928, the Boston Bulldogs in 29, the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets in 1930. But he was a very, very good player. So that was Jack Ernst. All right. And he was their quarterback. Okay. Then the left halfback. All right. Let me pop this up here. Nope, wrong one. The left halfback was Flanagan. I got to find. I got so many tabs open up here. Oh, there it is. William Flanagan. There you go. All right, William Harold Hoot Flanagan. Hoot, I guess that had to be his nickname, was a professional football player from Buckingham, West Virginia, who played through the early years of the National Football League with the Pottsville Maroons from 1925 through 1926. Flanagan attended the University of Pittsburgh and West Virginia Wesleyan College. Flanagan made his NFL debut in 1925 with the Pottsville Maroons. Once again, they won the championship, but it got stripped away from them, for a technicality reason. But it is what it is. But once again, he played for the Pottsville Maroons in 1925 and 1926, and they were a very, very good team, especially in 1925. So he was a very good player. He played in Pottsville for his entire just 2-year career, but he played with the Pottsville Maroons. Okay, so that was Flanagan. That was their left halfback, and their fullback was McBride. He was another New York Giant, okay, who played on the Coral Gables Collegians team for this game, and he was another All-Pro. Once again, there was no Pro Bowls back then, right? But he was an All-Pro. McBride, let's see here, he played. Find out how many. I know he, just reading the articles and everything, I know he played a bunch of games for the Giants. 1925. Okay, he played in all 12 games for the Giants. I mean, a lot of guys got injured, so they miss a game here or miss a game there. Maybe they didn't start or whatever it was. But McBride was one of the guys who fullback. He played and started all 12 games, and he was an All-Pro. right? So, as I said, so between Alexander, Bomar, and McBride, 3 players that were on the Giants in 1925 who were all pros were on the Coral Gables Collegian team, along with all those other good players. So the Coral Gables Collegian team had a very, very good team. Very good team. All right. Now, the New York Giants starting lineup here. Okay, they had Jappy, who was their left end. All right, let me get this down here. And Jappy played in all 12 games. He was the left end. He started 9. And he was a rookie. He was a rookie, but he had a very good season. Paul Jappy, he was the left end. He played in 12 games, started 9 of them. All right. So then I said, I know there was one of the guys I couldn't find. Milstead. No, he played for the Giants. Milstead. He was their left tackle. He played and started all 12 games for the Giants in 1925. And once again, let me see here. Let's see here. Milstead. Okay. Well, looks like Milstead and Jappy, they were not back for the Giants in 1926. There was a lot of turnover back then. I mean, just because one guy played from one season didn't mean they played from next. So Milstead and Jappy did not come back and play for the Giants in 1926, but they were on the team in 1925. Okay, so all right, so let's see. So Milstead was the left tackle. Jappy was the left end. Milstead was the left tackle. Carney was the left guard. All right, now Art Carney. He was the left guard. He played in 9 games, started 8 games for the Giants in 1925. And let's see, did he come back? Yes, he played in 1926 for the Giants. He played in 8 games, started 7 of them for the Giants. So Carney was the left guard. Now Bednar was the center. Now, is this the guy I couldn't find? Bednar. Nope. He was there. Actually, during the season, he was a guard and a tackle. He played center for this game because Doc Alexander, usually the normal Giants center, was on the Coral Gables Collegian team. So Al Bednar, who was a guard and a tackle for the Giants, he played in 9 games, started in 2. So he took over the center position. Now, let's see. Al Bednar, was he on the team? He was on the team. He was on the Giants team in 1926, though. He played in 8 games for the Giants. Okay, so he wound up being the center. All right, Tomlin, the right guard. Maybe this was the guy. It was a guy I couldn't find. Oh, nope, my bad. Tomlin, he was the guard. He played 9 games for the Giants in 1925, and he started 6 of them at guard for the Giants. Tommy Tomlin. And he played 1926 for the Giants too. So he played 25 and 26 for the Giants. So Tommy Tomlin. All right, he played the right guard for this game. Palm, he was the right tackle for the Giants in this game. Palm, like Palm Sunday, I guess. Palm. Now, he played on the 1925 team for the Giants. Mike Palm. He played in 2 games. He started 1 for the Giants. Let's see, was he on the 1926 team? Yeah, he was on the 1926 team. He played 1 game for the Giants in 1926. So he was on the Giants team 25 and 26, but he didn't play a whole heck of a lot. But Palm was the right tackle, the right with Hinkie Haynes. Oh yeah, he was very, very good. The right halfback, Hinkie Haynes. Now make sure you remember that name because he's the guy who scored the first 2 touchdowns in New York Football Giants history. One was on a pass reception, the other one was on a run. Hinkie Haynes, he missed a couple games. He played in 11 games for the Giants, and he started in 9 of them. And he played 12 games, started in 11 of them for the Giants in 1926. But he was a special player for the Giants. He was very, very good player. Hinkie Haynes, remember that. HH. All right, see. Now, the right end for the Giants was Rooney. Bill Rooney. He played 9 games for the Giants. 1925. And Bill Rooney, did he play? Nope. 1926. Okay, he wasn't on the Giants then. He just played the one season for the Giants. So, so in this particular game, what they got here, the right end was Rooney. Hendrian was the quarterback. All right, let's see. Hendrian, I know he played for the Giants here. He played in 11 games for the Giants in 19. Dutch Hendrian played in 11 games, started 8 games for the Giants. 1926. Okay, he was not with the Giants in 1926. So Dutch Hendrian, right? He just played one season for the Giants. But in this one game, he was their quarterback. Benkert, the left halfback. Benkert. Was this the guy? No, this is okay. No, he played 1925. He played in 11 games, started 10 of them. Let's see, did he play Benkert? Nope. His name is Heine. It looks like Heine Benkert. Heine Benkert. Now, he didn't play in 1926, but he played in 1925 for the New York Giants. So Heine Benkert was their left halfback in this one particular game. And then White. Now, I guess I did find out, all the guys. Because Phil White, the fullback. So I guess, I'm sorry. I thought there was a couple guys I couldn't find on here. But Phil White, he played. Actually, he was the first guy, looks like here, to have the number 0 for the New York Giants. In 1925, Phil White, the fullback, number 0. He played in 3 games, started 1 for the Giants. I think it was toward the end of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Did he play? He played 1925 and 1926? Nope. He didn't play for the Giants in 1926, just 1925. But if you ever want to know the first player to ever wear number 0 for the New York Giants, it was Phil White, 1925. There you go. No, so I guess I thought there was a player on this list here that I couldn't find. But no, they're all right there. All right. So as I said, so the Giants, they didn't have all their players there, shall we say? All right, some of the players were playing for the Coral Gables Collegian team, and I said they were, very good team. All right, let me see here. All right, so now I'll just start reading a couple of the articles I got here. Just it goes to go over and I'll show you, what the score was. As I said, the Giants didn't wind up winning this game. All right, let's see here. Coral Gables' aerial attack is supreme. Tim Callahan's crew, who's the coach of the Coral Gables Collegian, they come from behind to take game in the final quarter. So the Giants were leading going into the final quarter, but they wound up losing. So in West Palm Beach, Florida, January 1st, 1926, after battling for nearly 3 quarters with the New York Giants, who were ahead 3-0, the Coral Gables Collegians staging a whirlwind attack in the last few minutes of the game, won by a score of 13-3. More than 2,000 fans viewed what proved to be one of the best games of the season. Okay. For nearly three quarters, the 2 professional teams, the Collegians under Tim Callahan and the Giants under Bob Folwell, battled fairly evenly. The only score during that time was made in the second session when White, the Giants fullback, dropped pretty kick squarely through the goalpost from the 35-yard line. The last half hour had the fans on their toes all the time. In the last of the third quarter, the Collegians, who worked in a neat aerial attack throughout the game, made a long pass that put the ball on the 8-yard line. 3 straight line bucks gained only 5 yards, and on the last down, Ernst made a pretty pass over the goal line to McBride for the Florida boys' first score of the game. So they scored a touchdown on 4th down. They went for it on 4th down. I guess they could have tried to kick a field goal, to try to tie it up, but they went for it. They got it. They got a pass. And they scored. Let's see here. Okay, so Ernst failed to make the extra point, so the third quarter ended with the Collegians leading 6-3. In the final session, the Giants opened a continual aerial attack in a desperate attempt to score. On a spread pass formation with the Giants' ball on the 40-yard line, the New Yorkers fumbled, and the ball was booted back to the goal. Wow. When the heap was unscrambled, Bayman of the Collegians was found to be perched on top of the ball over the goal line. Ernst kicked the extra point. Score was 13-3. So somehow the Giants had the ball on their own 40. Say 40. It looks like it says 40-yard line. They fumbled and the ball was booted back. The ball was booted back 40 yards. Holy cow. The Collegians made much of their yardage with forward passes. More than once, they were held by the Giants in the shadow of their goalpost. Red Roberts of center did not get into the game, although the fans were continually calling, "We want red." Wow. Phil White of the Giants was the real star of the game, consistently carrying the ball for long gains. He also made the Giants only score. A comedy freak gave the fans the final thrill of the game. On the last play of the game, the Giants made a pass from the 35-yard line to midfield. Wentworth starred for the Collegians. Ernst and Bayman were also to be, also meant to be. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. All right, so that's that one. Let's see here. Coral Gables Gritters beat Giant 11. This is a real short one here. West Palm Beach. Unleashing a great aerial attack in the third quarter, the Coral Gables Collegians, headed by Tim Callahan, former Yale captain, rode roughshod over the New York Giants here Friday afternoon by a score of 13-3. White was the outstanding star for the Giants, booting over a drop kick over the bar in the second period. Berry was the shining light for the Coral Gables squad. All right, then we got, let's see here. All right, Gables team is football winner over New York Giants, West Palm Beach. Tim Callahan's Coral Gables Collegians, after nibbling on the short end of the score for the greater portion of the game, suddenly came to life, packed a winning punch, and finally defeated the New York Giants 13-3 here in the New York's football attraction. The game was a thriller. With the Giants up 3-0, it was a thriller. The game was a thriller from the beginning to end. Oh, geez. I get this again. Okay. The game was a thriller from the beginning to end. The Giants scored their 3 points in the second session when Phil White, the fullback, drop kicked a goal from the 35-yard line. It was in the third quarter the Collegians started their fireworks, and after a rush down the field, Ernst and McBride, I mean, let's not forget, McBride is a Giant, okay? He was an all-pro Giant. He just happened to be playing with the Coral Gables Collegians for this game. So Ernst and McBride teamed up to pull off a very neat forward pass for a touchdown on fourth down. This gave the Collegians a 6-3 lead, and they kept right to their task in the final session, scoring a second touchdown, and Ernst kicked the extra point. Wentworth, Coral Gables fullback, was one of the stars of the game. He pulled off a 52-yard run in the second quarter and also took part in several nice passes. Berry was also much in the limelight. Okay, so then I got that. And I got that one. Okay, hold on. There's one more here. All right, I got to find it here. Is this it? Okay, here we go. This might be it. Oh, there we go. Collegians passes defeat the Giants 13-3. McBride and Bomar score all points against former teammates at Palm Beach. Now, they were the former teammate, but they would play for the Giants in 1926. So it is what it is, right? Let's see here. Unleashing a savage aerial attack in the last 6 minutes of play, the Tim Callahan's Gables Collegians professional football team turned what appeared to be a certain defeat into a brilliant victory here this afternoon, downing the New York Giants by a score of 13-3. During 3 quarters of heavy Giant line had stopped every attempt the Floridians made to break through. A placement kick from the 35-yard line by White, the New York fullback, had put the Giants ahead. In the last quarter, Ernst faked a placement, but instead of kicking, tossed a long forward pass to McBride. The former Giant star made a leaping catch behind the Giants' goal line for the first touchdown. An attempted placement kick for the extra point was blocked. So what happened? He faked the kick, right? So he was, I guess, going to try to drop kick. He got it. Maybe he was going to, whatever. Made it look like he was going to drop kick. He faked it. All right. Then he tossed a long forward pass to McBride, which couldn't have been very far because I thought they said they were inside like the 5-yard line. So it couldn't have been that far, but I don't know. But the former Giant star, McBride, made a leaping catch behind the goal line for the first touchdown, and the attempted extra point was blocked, so it made it 6-3. On the next kickoff, the Giants received a costly fumble on their own 25-yard line. Oh, okay. That's one thing says the 40-yard line, the other one says the 25. So on the next kickoff, the Giants received a costly fumble on their own 25-yard line was recovered by Bomar, formerly of the Giants, who ran it over for a touchdown. McBride kicked the extra point. So the Giants, a costly fumble on their own 25-yard line was recovered by. So I don't know. One article says the Giants had the ball on their 40 and it got booted back somehow toward the goal line, and it was a pile, and they uncovered the pile, and the Gables Collegians seemed to have the ball over the goal line for a touchdown. Here it says on the next kickoff, the Giants received a costly fumble on their own 25-yard line was recovered by Bomar, formerly of the Giants. I guess picked it up and he ran it over for a touchdown. Now, where he picked it up at, was it at the 5? Was it at the 25? Did he, was it 20? Did he run it in 25 yards? Did he run it 5 yards? I mean, who knows? But he picked up the fumble, Bomar, all right, and he ran it over for another touchdown. McBride kicked the extra point to give him the 7 points to make the final score 13-3. So it's kind of interesting, the disparity. You read certain things. Now, sometimes there's basically like I've seen this on a couple occasions. Like there'll be like a standard, words that are typed out, and basically I'll see like 2 or 3 different articles that it just says the same exact thing. You read one, maybe the title might be different. The Giants beat so-and-so, or the next one might say Giants survive a scare from so-and-so, and then the next title might say something different. So the titles might say dumb, but the article itself is always like the same exact thing, right? So sometimes you see that. Other times you get something like this where you read it and one article says something happened, like here. Once the Giants had the ball at their own 40 and the ball got booted back toward their own end zone and somebody landed on it for a touchdown. And the other one says the Giants fumbled the ball at the 25-yard line. Somebody scooped it up from the other team and ran it back in, so who knows? I mean, you're not going to get that stuff nowadays with all, all the highlights and all the, the visuals and everything. So nobody's going to make mistakes like that anymore. But that's the way it was back then. I don't know, who reported what or whatever, who made a mistake, but it is what it is. But in the end, the Giants wound up losing 13-3. They were winning 3-0 going into the third quarter. And the Gables Collegians scored 13 points in the second half and wound up pulling away with the victory, 13-3. But like I said, it wasn't just a collection of guys. These were professional football players, a collection of really good professional football players that played the Giants. And let's not forget, I said 4 of those players that were playing for the Gables Collegians were New York Giants. And not only 4, but 3 out of those 4 were all pros. So the Coral Gables Collegians, the players in this game were very, very good football players. So the fact that the Giants lost can't be that huge of a surprise. But once again, it was just an exhibition game. So it is what it is. So it didn't count in the standings. But so that pretty much wraps up here. So that's what happened on this date, January 1st, 1926, in New York football Giants history. See you next time.